Hello bachcho, welcome to science classes. In this video, I will be covering the introduction on chapter 1 class 8 science, that is crop production and management. In this video, I will be covering mostly about the introductory part, that is what is the gist of crop production and management. The first one. Now, in first few videos, you will be learning about why do we have to eat food? Why is it necessary? Secondly, you will be learning about agricultural practices. Like in agricultural practices, you will learn how to define a crop with an example. How to define a crop with an example. Crop is nothing but when a plants of the same kind are cultivated at one place on a large scale, it's called as crop. Along with that, with an example, you will be defining a crop. Basically, the crop is classified into Kharif crop and Rabi crop. In later stage of this video or the next video, you'll be learning about what is Kharif crop and its example, and Rabi crop and its example. Third part of crop production and management chapter, you will learn about cultivation of crops. Involves several activities undertaken by farmers over a period of time. So let's learn what are those cultivation practices. These activities or a task are referred to as agricultural practices. So now let's move on to the next slide. Here it is. These activities or a task are referred to as agricultural practices. Now, to cultivate a crop, there is a series of steps. First is preparation of soil. Next is sowing, adding fertilizer and manure. Irrigation is nothing but water production or providing waters to the crop. Protection from weeds. There are several unwanted plants growing near our cultivating plants. So these are called as weeds, and these weeds can be killed by weedicide. The sixth step is harvesting, and the seventh step is storage. So these are the activities involved in agricultural practices. In following videos, I'll be explaining in detail of these each practices. So let's move on to the next slide. Now, a bit brief introduction I'll be sharing today about all this all this seven agricultural practices. So let's move on to the first step, is preparation of soil. The preparation of the soil is the first step before growing the crop. We must see whether the soil is well prepared, whether the soil is loosened or not. So process of loosening and turning of the soil is called as ploughing, and leveling the field is very much important. So ploughing, the meaning of ploughing is loosening and turning the soil, and leveling is very much important, which is used in sowing and for irrigation. There are few agricultural implements used while preparing a soil. Next, let's see the next step, that is sowing. Sowing, yes. While sowing a seed, we need to see whether the soil is good for the cultivation of crop, whether the seeds which have used for sowing has good quality, whether it's clean or healthy. So for this, there are several tools used for sowing the seed. There are two methods. There are traditional tools and there are seed drills. Next step, the third step is adding manure and fertilizer, which is very important step. Adding manure and fertilizer. The substance which are added to the soil in the form of nutrient for the healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizer. Like we we need vitamins, we need carbohydrates by intake of few tablets or by intake of few foods in that is in humans, whereas in crops, to get them to have a nutrient to for the healthy growth of the plant, their few substances are added to the soil, and these substances are called as manure and fertilizer. Further, you will study the difference between fertilizer and manure. And one of the most important question, that is advantages of manure. Why manure is very much important and what's the difference between manure and fertilizer? I'll be not explaining now, but in series of videos which I'll be uploading further, I will be explaining what is the difference between manure and fertilizer. The in uh, fourth step in cultivation of crop is irrigation. Quite known word. Water is absorbed by the plant roots, isn't it? Yes. Water is very much essential for plants. No matter what, we all need water. Now, what does irrigation actually mean? The supply of water to crops at regular interval is called irrigation. In irrigation, in the para irrigation of your chapter page of your chapter crop production and management, there you will learn the sources of irrigation, how supply of water to the crops at several intervals. What are the sources of irrigation, from where, like the source of irrigation can be river, can be lake, can be ponds. And so a brief introduction, a brief explanation of sources of irrigation is done in your textbook. In irrigation, there are two methods of irrigation. One is traditional method, which was traditionally done, and modern method, which is what is the difference between traditional and modern method? Traditional is a bit time consuming, whereas the modern is not a bit time consuming. And modern technology, in modern method of irrigation, we use machines, whereas in traditional method, the man-made work was more and labor was more. So that's the difference between traditional and modern method. In further classes, we will learn in traditional method and modern method what are subtypes in it, like sprinkler system, drip system. We have seen that we'll be seeing in modern method of irrigation. Next, again, as how in previous slide, you have seen that, as I told you, the adding manure and fertilizer is a very much important step. Likewise, the fifth step is also an important step, that is protection from weeds. Now, basically, actually, what is weed? So, the weed definition is, in field, many other undesirable plants may grow naturally along with the crops. As I told, what we need, what our crop has to be grown. Protection from weeds, yes. So weeds is basically when you're growing your crop naturally, when you want to grow a certain crop, but there are few plants which are grown side by it, which is not important for, which is undesirable plants. So these undesirable plants are called as weeds. Okay, next, to remove these weeds, we have, or to control these weeds, there are chemical which are called as weedicides, which can decrease the amount or quantity of weeds which are grown. Next is the most important thing is harvesting. The cutting of the crops after it is matured is called as harvesting. Harvesting is based on their large scale, small scale, the different types of processes, winnowing and threshing method. Threshing means the grain seeds need to be separated from the chaff. This process is called as threshing. Further, the brief explanation I'll be doing in further series of videos. Please look into those videos. Next, winnowing is used in small places. Farmers with small holdings of land do the separation of grain and chaff. This is called as winnowing. The process is called as threshing, and farmers doing in a small land is called as winnowing. Next is storage. Storage is a important task. If you store well the grains, it's better. It's safe from moisture, insect, rats, or microorganisms. If not, then so much of hard work of the farmers will go in vain. So storage is actually a most important part comparing to protection from weeds or adding manure. So the next one is the last one. Though our chapter is based on crops, that is about plants, but our textbook has given few introduction about animals too. That is food from animals. Food from animals. One is they have discussed about animal husbandry. Animals raised at home or in the farms have to be provided with proper food, shelter, and care. When this is done on a large scale, this is called as animal husbandry. Nothing but rearing an animal by at home or in a farms is called as animal husbandry in a large scale. One more is the use of fish. Why fish is useful for, especially for food. We consume fish. From fish we get, which is a major part of our diet, and fish is good for our health. If you don't eat fish, if you eat fish, but the ones who eat fish, they get good nutrients from fish. Next is the last of this series of crop production and management that I'll be uploading in future. The last two videos will be about the exercise of this chapter. There are totally 11 questions from question number 1 to question number 11. Few questions are of the last 11th question is based on crosswords. Few question is related to fill in the blanks, and few questions are related to 5 marks, few questions related to 2 marks, few are the MCQ types. There are several different types of questions. There are several different types of 11 questions. In further classes, I'll be uploading the exercise questions with answer, so that it will be easy for you to understand still more the class 8 science chapter 1, that is crop production and management. Yes, we have come to the end of this video. Here I have covered the introduction or the brief index about chapter 1, class 8 science chapter 1, crop production and management. Thank you students for sincerely listening to me. Hope you like this video. Share, like, comment if you have any doubt. Comment if you like this video. Share it with your classmates. Please do like and subscribe to science classes. Meet you soon. Bye. Take care.